One morning, the water in the harbor was higher. Nobody saw it come in. Same boats, same ropes, every one of them sitting higher than the night before.
And up the hill, the same town woke to the same morning. Dry streets, the same wage. Nothing had reached them.
Ask the harbor where the water came from, and the answer is always the same. Somebody opened a gate.
They opened it because the harbor was going dry. Boats were sitting in mud. That part is true, and people forget it first.
So here's the question that outlived the emergency. The water rose for years. Where did it actually go?
Because the number everyone repeats, trillions, never showed up in anybody's pay.
It didn't vanish. It's still sitting exactly where it landed. That's today's fight.
Start with what most people picture. The central bank made money and handed it out to somebody. Just not to us.
Wrong on both halves. Nothing was printed, and nothing was handed to anyone. It bought things, bonds, government debt, and loans that had already been made. It bought them from banks at scale for years.
Hold on. Bought them with what? If they didn't make new money, where did the money to buy them come from?
It credited the seller's account. A central bank is the one place whose promise becomes money the moment it writes it down, so treat it as a swap, not a gift. The bank hands over a bond. It gets a deposit at the central bank instead. Same owner, different asset.
So the wealth wasn't new. What changed was the shape it was sitting in.
The shape and the speed. A bond sits still for 10 years. A deposit can move this afternoon into anything at all.
That's the gate then. They didn't make more water. They let what was already there run into the harbor at once.
And they did it because the ordinary method had run out. Rates were already as low as they go. This was the thing underneath.
Which is why the official name sounds like nothing at all. Quantitative easing. It means buy assets until the water rises.
So no, nobody printed your rent. They bought the safest thing they could find and paid for it with a promise. Now you know what was done. Nobody has told you yet where it ended up. Follow the water. It fills the lowest thing first. And the lowest thing here was the banking system itself. Most of it never left. It sat as reserves, the deposits banks hold at the central bank. Trillions of them. Parked. Picture a boat that can only ever be moved between two docks in the same harbor. That is what a reserve is.
Parked. Not lent, not spent, just sitting in the harbor. But something did move. Because the central bank had just bought up the safe assets and taken them off the table.
So every institution that needs a return had to go find one somewhere else. Further out. Riskier. Higher up the price.
And prices rose wherever that search landed. Shares, property, corporate debt, all of it repriced upward.
Not because anything got better, because the same money was chasing a smaller pile of things worth owning.
Same money, fewer things worth owning. That is an investment. That's a cue. And borrowing got cheap enough that companies started buying back their own shares with it.
Which lifts a share price without building a single thing. The cheapest way to look successful ever invented.
So anyone already holding those assets woke up wealthier. They did nothing. The water did it for them.
That's the honest answer to where it went. It went to whoever was already standing in the harbor.
Now the hill. Same country, same years, same emergency. And a wage that still had to cover the rent.
Nothing arrived. And people keep waiting for an explanation with a villain in it. There isn't one.
Water only reaches what it can touch. Asset prices sit at sea level. Wages are halfway up a hill. A central bank can buy a bond. It cannot buy you a raise.
Correct. It can only make credit cheap and hope somebody uses it to build something that hires people.
And the ones who could borrow most cheaply of all were the ones who needed it least.
The reserves stayed in the harbor because banks lend when there's someone worth lending to, not when there's water.
A shop with no customers doesn't borrow because money got cheap. It borrows when the customers come back. So the gap widened without anyone widening it. Assets ran, wages walked. Nobody signed anything.
And those with nothing to sell into that market didn't just miss the rise, they ended up renting it back from the people who caught it. Their landlord's building was repriced by water that landlord never asked for.
That's the part that breaks people's trust. They were told the rescue was for everyone.
It was. A harbor that dries out takes the hill down with it. The jobs, the shops, the savings. Just later and slower.
Both things are true at once. It saved the town, and it paid the waterfront first.
Rescues are never sorted by who deserves them. They're sorted by who is closest to the water.
And the closest were the ones who needed rescuing least.
Now the part nobody wrote a plan for. What happens when the emergency is over?
The water was supposed to go back out. The balance sheet was supposed to shrink back to something ordinary. For years, it mostly didn't.
Because letting water out has a price, and the price lands on whoever is standing in it now, which is everyone.
Sell those bonds back, and borrowing gets dearer for a town that grew up on cheap. Hold them, and the tide never goes out.
And every year it stays in, more of the town gets built to stand in that water. That's how a rescue becomes the floor. How you actually drain it, the order, the speed, what snaps first, that's a different fight.
Big enough for its own episode.
Today, just hold the shape. Opening the gate took a weekend. Closing it has taken years, and it still isn't closed.
So bring it home. Next time you hear that number, trillions, what should you actually hear?
Ask one thing first. When the water rose, where were you standing? At sea level or up the hill? If you held assets, shares, property, a pension invested in both, the rescue reached you first, and it reached you as a price.
If your money is a wage in a savings account, those same years handed you a higher cost of living and a deposit that grew by nothing. And if you were too young to be anywhere near the water, you inherited the price without ever getting the rescue. The same emergency. A windfall at sea level. A waiting room on the hill.
Neither of us disputes what it did back then. We dispute what it has become since. I say an exception turned into a habit. Drain it, take the pain now, and keep the method for a real emergency.
And I say, a harbor full of mud is not discipline. When the water goes, the smallest boats are the first ones stranded.
Her mercy prices out the next generation. My discipline strands the weakest first. There's no dry route out of here, only a chosen cost.
So we're not going to tell you which one to want.
We'll hand you the question that survives every headline. Who benefits, who pays, and who's carrying the risk?